Everything and everyone gotta start somewhere. Amazon started in a garage, Disney started in a shed, and before one of the most detailed games ever made in Red Dead Redemption 2, we had Red Dead Revolver. Released in 2004 by Rockstar Games, Red Dead Revolver has a lot of feelings, early ideas, and scenarios that you can look at and see where a certain feature in the newer Red Deads actually came from. I remember playing this back in the day, and for whatever reason I just stopped. I couldn't tell you why. Maybe it was too hard for me at the time, maybe it didn't fully grasp me, I don't know. But I remember never walking away from it thinking it was bad, I just simply didn't finish it. So I think it's finally time we take another look at Red Dead Revolver. In Red Dead Revolver, you play as Red. Remember him from the first Pokemons? Well, he's here now. And after Pokemons became extinct, he decided as a child to become a cowboy. Okay, yeah, of course not, but that's all I could think of, especially in these loading screens. But nah, you actually start out as Red Harlow, a young boy who's stoked because his pa came home claiming their troubles are over.
Our troubles are finally over.
Red spots Pa's shiny new revolver and wants to test it out. Pa says,
She's one of a pair, only two in the whole world.
Where's the other one?
My partner Griff has it. We made him up special to symbolize our newfound wealth.
But Pa hands over Red his old revolver, which sends us to a tutorial to go practice, while he most likely goes to bang Mom. Oh, who by the way is from the Red Wolf tribe, who you can imagine weren't too happy she married a good old cowboy, but explains why we're in the middle of nowhere. So after the tutorial, bandits attack the house and set it on fire.
Fire it all.
After you clear them out next to your pa, you realize he should have actually given you his revolver instead because he sucks. He got murked. This Woody Harrelson looking sumbitch comes over and starts talking shit and says probably the worst thing you could say to someone back in the 1800s. He calls your daddy Yellow Belly.
Him being such a yellow belly and all.
So Pa's gun is just sitting there in the fire, and Red grabs it and shoots Woody's arm off, burning his hand in the process, but he got away. 12 years later, Red is still on the hunt to find who's responsible for his parents' murders and to try to get back what belongs to him. So as you set out to collect bounties, you will encounter a crazy cast of characters, and you will even play as a bunch of them on a mission or so. You got Jack Swift, a fancy English gunslinger feller, Annie Stokes, a badass farmer lady, General Diego, one of the main bad guys, Shadow Wolf, who's actually Red's cousin, and Buffalo Soldier, who always seems to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, or depending on your perspective, he might be at the right place at the right time. Each of these have their own weapons and secondary fires. These character cameos are great. I really like that they give you that character's perspective, even the bad guys. And these levels typically feature a boss fight or so, which are actually really fun. Graphics held up okay. I did like the old film filter and cutscenes, and the music is great. It kind of sounds like something Tarantino would feature. I gotta say voice acting is extra, but the fun kind, because it fits the more cartoony design.
You gonna blow up real good, cowboy.
The whole game is a bit more goofy, but the storyline hits pretty well, even with this goofiness. Shooting, of course, feels old simply because of the leaps and bounds the newer Red Deads have done, but Revolver is still responsive and works really well. Guns do feel different from each other. Before and after missions, you can purchase, repair, and upgrade guns, their damage, reload speed, just pretty basic stuff. The only thing missing for me in terms of the shooting was a lock-on while you're running around. You can lock on while in cover when you pop up sometimes, that worked okay, but a lock-on out of cover would have helped dramatically, because aiming in a crowd can be a bit tough. Instead, you do have what is known as Deadeye. So as you kill dudes, these bars fill up, and you can trigger the Deadeye. It slows the camera down and sets multiple targets on these foos. I'm still a bit iffy in terms of what exactly does it pick to target, because sometimes I would be all over the guy and it would target nothing. And some other times you fill up a dude with lead and he don't die. So the targeting is important. Picking your spots is vital, especially for the bosses. They can be bullet sponges sometimes. But even with that, Deadeye still also works really well. Only Red and Jay Swifty have this. The others have, like I said, secondary shots. Boss fights are super fun, and they each have their own different patterns to look out for your spot to attack. Sometimes it's in an open area where you can run around and you even have help. Other times they have help and the area really ain't that big, but some strategy has to be used. Usually just going in all Rambo didn't really work for me. There is a handful of different enemy types ranging from circus shorties to big ol' some bitches. I really like when they're yelling at you and call you names. The one that threw me off was ferret, because that is not what I heard the first time they said it, I'll tell you that.
He got you, ferret.
I also love that they throw some Spanish out there as well. You know, as a Spanish speaker myself, I really love that. It is goofy Spanish, but it's funny. Eso usted. This had me talking to the TV sometimes. What made me love it even more is that Emilio Delgado, the guy from Sesame Street from back in the day, voiced a bandit, and I hope it was him who was cursing at me in Spanish. That'd be so cool. A guy I grew up watching every day as a child on Sesame Street calling me a cabrón. That'd be amazing. The final form of combat is the duel, where you stand in front of dudes and draw your gun. You're supposed to guide this reticle to the best hit points on the body, which is shown by the different color of the reticles. This mechanic, while it's pretty cool, takes some time to get used to. At first it's okay because the guys you're dueling suck, but where most have trouble is in the battle royale towards the end of the game because you face multiple guys in a row and they get better as you go along. Sometimes you have multiple people at once in the duel, and I like that if you fail, the fight continues. So a tip for this is to press down on the stick when the hand is above the gun, then up when he touches the gun. The game doesn't really tell it to you like that. It just says like move up and down. So if you do that, he won't even touch the gun, draw nothing, and end up getting lit up. So definitely once you get the hang of it, it gets way better. But I'm curious, let me know your thoughts on this particular duel system. Do you remember playing it? Do you remember loving it, hating it, anything at all? Let me know down in the comments. I also love reading about your guys' memories about these older games. So while you're down there, if you could hit the subscribe button and the notify bell next to it, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. I will say that the difficulty is fair. The checkpoints are fair. It can be tough at times to throw a bunch of dudes at you or when you have to protect stuff, but it never felt impossible, which is good. Some missions are super short, literally just like a duel, and others have way more to them. You might be chasing a train, defending a cart from military, shooting at cannons. It's all just really fun and really feels like earlier DNA from the newer games. After the level, you get rated and rewarded, which adds more replayability with the score to get better rewards. A few levels in, you will get to this town that will serve as your hub, where you can buy guns, go to the bar, increase your deadeye, check out the hoes.
You look like a fella who enjoys a good time.
I did wish you could play poker like in the new ones here, but you can also go to the convenience store and buy items that are actually just journal pages, and items, characters, and locations for the showdown. So some customization to red would have been cool here. I don't know if that's asking too much at this time, but the showdown is a mode where it kind of plays like a boss fight. You can even play it in multiplayer, where you pick your character, which again have their own special attacks and guns, and you run around the level shooting at each other and collecting cards after kills, and depending on the cards you get upgraded weapons, so on and so forth. Kills give you money. The first person to reach a certain amount of money wins. It would be really fun with what are those things called? Yeah, friends. Once you beat the game, you unlock Bounty Hunter mode, where you beat certain chapters with new objectives and guideline, again adding even more replayability. So most exploration does take place in this little town. As you go along, more shops open up. The later levels do get a bit bigger and even offer you a map, but I really felt no need to use it. They didn't feel that big. The level design feels purposeful. It's super linear, but there are hidden paths where you can find health. You can talk to people.
Mister, you could really use a hot bath and some fresh clothes.
And that's pretty much it in terms of exploring. So real exploration is kind of missing if you compare it to the new ones. You can't really grab a horsey and ride off for a while. There are missions with horses and even buffalo to ride. Unfortunately, we are years away from horsey ball physics. So without that, what's really the point? It would be cool though, they would have to add the big old bison balls too. But riding does control very smoothly. I'll say Red Dead Revolver is still super fun today, but it definitely feels like the granddaddy to Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's what you want, improvement, growth. How many franchises do you know have gotten worse through the console generations? And here you can clearly see where and why improvements and changes were made. And by pointing them out, by no means I'm saying that Red Dead Revolver isn't good. It's fantastic and it's super fun even today. I just wanted to give it a shine because it was the base to create even better games, which is what Red Dead Redemption 1 is. It built on top of Revolver. Then 2 built on top of 1. That's why 2 is so good. That's what made 2 one of the best games of all time. And that's why Rockstar is considered one of the best publishers in the industry, because they built upon what they themselves create. I highly recommend you check out Red Dead Revolver. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to always and forever, you do.